Hey guys, what's up? In today's video, I want to talk about the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta, which has concluded about 10 minutes ago. And I want to answer the question whether the game sucks. Because let's be honest here, all previous iterations of Call of Duty in recent years have sucked. Black Ops 3 wasn't a particularly good game. Infinite Warfare was a terrible game. World War II, I didn't play, but apparently it wasn't a particularly good game. So all my hype was died down. I wasn't excited for this game at all. I thought, well, it's just going to be the next thing. You know, I'm sure there are millions of little kiddies out there who are going to buy it, but I will not. Because there's no Call of Duty game that could possibly get me back on board. When the beta first came out, I think it came early on consoles or something, but I saw a lot of hate, right? I saw a lot of hate on Twitter. People were like, this sucks and the time to kill sucks. It was all negative and it just confirmed my stereotype. I was like, all right, you know, here we go. Another Call of Duty that sucks. I don't even need to look at this. But then it slowly shifted. As the PC beta came out, as it became an open beta and everyone could play, suddenly you saw a lot of positive feedback and a lot of people said, wow, this is a great game, actually. So that got me curious. I downloaded the game, hefty download, I think 29 gigabytes, which is a lot for a beta. But it had me playing the whole weekend. It's a fast-paced game. It doesn't have any of the shenanigans like double jump or wall running. It's less casual because it's so fast-paced. And I think people who rarely play FPS games are gonna have a hard time in this game. They're not gonna have a lot of fun because the level is high, the skills are high, everyone seemed fairly good. And especially in the beginning, it was hard to get a good kill-death ratio, right? Because the level is high and it's such a fast-paced game. So I appreciate that. And the reason why I appreciate that is it's a hard decision. It's a tough decision to make. You're not making like a wishy-washy decision where you're like, oh, but we gotta respect those casual players, right? We gotta make it easy, but we also want to be a game for the pros. No. We're not doing any of this. It is a game that is more tailored towards people who are good at first-person shooters and who have played all the previous Call of Duties. And that's good. It's a bold decision. I like it. More of that, please. They introduced a few new mechanics, like for example that you have to press X to heal. You're not healing automatically anymore, so you're going to have to find some cover for a second, press X, and then your health regenerates fairly quickly, to be honest. And also the actual stem item, you know, that you use to heal yourself regenerates very quickly as well. So it's not that you're going to be in situations where you're like, oh, I'm nearly dead, I need to heal, but I can't because I don't have health. No, it's not like that. You basically can always heal. You just need to make the time for it, and you need to consider that moment of retreat and healing in your gameplay, which is good. It makes the gameplay more interesting. It made it more fun. I noticed that the movement is very smooth, right? In the past, in all Call of Duties, whenever you had to climb an obstacle or climb through a window, or you want to throw a grenade, then the gun goes down, so you get shot while you're throwing the grenade because you can't fight back. All that stuff they have addressed, right? You can throw a grenade, or a special grenade at least, while shooting, and you still have your gun, and if someone comes your way while you throw the grenade, you can still shoot. It's probably going to be hip fire, but at least you can do something. The movement is smoothed out. You don't have these moments where you kind of stuck at an obstacle and you have to wait for the animation to finish. It always happens very quickly, and it's very satisfying to climb through windows and stuff because it happens so fast. It has a good pace. The whole game has a very good pace, I felt. So that's good. It didn't leave you bored and frustrated because you have to climb certain obstacles or anything like that. And those are really small things, right? That's not stuff that's very obvious and like massive changes. Those are small things that they changed in the gameplay and that improve the game because there are a lot of those small changes quite significantly. I enjoyed the maps. They were much better, in my opinion, than in Black Ops 3. They had a very clear layout, clear sides, right? Like, I always give this example of the map High Rise in Modern Warfare 2. I don't know if you remember that. That was like the rooftop map. But you had a clear side for both teams, and you could always roughly estimate where the enemies are. Very rarely it happened that they just spawn in your back and you die with a lot of frustration because you're like, oh, why is he now behind me? Or, you know, where you're in situations where basically the enemies can come from all 360 degrees around you. It doesn't happen in this game very much, in my opinion, in my experience. You always roughly know where the enemies are, and it allows for better map control. In terms of the design of the maps, it's quite interesting. I mean, obviously, their engine is outdated, and it does look shit, right? It doesn't look particularly good. At a later point in this review, I will talk about that in a bit more detail. But nonetheless, I felt that they put quite a lot of love into the details of the maps, right? So as you run around, obviously, it doesn't look as good as a Battlefield game, and a lot of the textures feel quite washed out. But nonetheless, there's a lot to discover, and there are not many corners where you feel like they didn't put love into the design of the objects. And what I found is actually quite interesting. They seem to find a quite nice middle ground between designing the map with a lot of love and detail, but at the same time making it very readable. In the past with Call of Duty games, I had often the problem that the maps are designed in a way there are loads of objects around and they clutter it with objects to make the environment look interesting and kind of lived in and organic. But the compromise of that is that you can't see the enemies and it's hard to read the map. In this game, they made a lot of decisions where the maps are actually very simple and very geometric and very easy to read, but at the same time, they have all these details and the love to detail in the game. So again, good job on the maps, at least the ones in the beta. You know, you could read them well, you could learn them quickly, and they looked fairly good in terms of amount of detail. Obviously, again, the engine sucks. It's a shitty, outdated engine, so don't expect it to look like a AAA 2018 game. But I don't mind that much. You know, if I can navigate the maps well and they're fun to play and they're fun to read in terms of where the enemies are and all that, I'm happy. You know, it works for me. I play this over the new Battlefield game anytime, really. On top of that, I think they put a lot of effort in how the maps feel. They seem to be more vibrant, more bright, and that they had a lot of cool locations in these beta maps, you know, whether you play like in a really war-stricken area in Japan somewhere, which is fun to explore, or somewhere in the Caribbean where you have these beautiful blue seas. So they found cool locations and they made everything a bit more vibrant. I'll go into that at a later point in time, why I think they did that. Fast respawn is another point that adds to the pace that I spoke about earlier. There rarely is some time where you're like, oh, I'm so frustrated, now I have to wait for this. It's something that annoys me also in games like Overwatch. You die, now you have to wait. Now you can respawn, now you go back to the battle. No. This gameplay loop they have in Black Ops 4 is actually really fast and it works really well. You're dead, you respawn, you're nearly already back in the battle. I know a lot of people in the past complained about spawn points. I didn't feel they screwed it up that much in this game. I had a few times where I spawned and there were already enemies in front of me, but it didn't happen too much. Overall, I felt the spawn points were quite balanced and worked really well. The biggest concern of many people, if you follow social media, was the time to kill. How many bullets do you need to pump into an enemy before he dies? And a lot of people were like, oh, I need a whole magazine, you know, like a whole clip of SMG ammunition to pump into the enemy. My observation in that is, it differs. For some weird reason, it differs. And it's not like in other games where you're like, oh, okay, I've given you 2 headshots, now you're clearly dead. Sometimes you pump 6, 7, 8 bullets into an enemy before he dies. Sometimes you need 2. And I didn't really understand how that works. Some people said you need to hit the chest and an upper body area. But in my experience, that didn't even do it. Sometimes I come up to people from behind, they don't see me, and I pump 5, 6, 7 bullets into their chest from behind. They don't die. They turn around and kill me with 1 or 2 bullets. So there was a bit of frustration there, but overall I think it's a good thing that they make the time to kill a bit longer and that you need to pump more bullets into the enemy because it drags out the battles, right? It makes the battles more interesting. You don't have those moments where you run and before you can even react to something happening, you're already dead. It leaves you time to react, it leaves you time to hide, potentially, regain your health and then engage in the battle again. So it makes the battles more interesting, and I think this time to kill issue, if you want to call it that, is in parts frustrating, but at the same time it adds a lot to the game, and it's another bold decision that Treyarch made. Which again I appreciate, right? They're like, no, let's try to find a middle ground between like a short time to kill and a long time. No. It's a fairly long time to kill for a Call of Duty game, and they're going all out with it. And it makes the battles more tactical. It draws the battles out a bit more. It's a smart decision to do that. And I've seen actually as much negative feedback I've seen on it, I have seen the positive feedback. In the beta, they did a thing what was also interesting. They combined different game mods into one game type. So Team Deathmatch and Kill Confirmed is one game type. You can't just play TDM or just kill confirmed, which is a good thing because I'm a quite hardcore TDM player. I rarely play other game types, and with kill confirmed in the mix, you know, I played that a bit more, and it was actually fun. They are gonna take out the single player. I think in a month from now there's gonna be a second beta they already announced, which is gonna be a big test run for their Battle Royale mod, so I'm quite curious about how that's gonna pan out, and I'm very excited to play that as well. But am I sad that the single player is gone? Absolutely not. I've been making videos for a long time in which I propose that they should sell the two types or the game types separately, the single player and the multiplayer, because simply you would see where, you know, the focus of the game is. If 80% of the people buy only the multiplayer and 20% only buy single player, then you know that nobody gives a crap about the single player. And I think, just looking at the longevity of these games, it is definitely in the multiplayer. Most people play the Call of Duty games for the multiplayer, so let go of the single player. Another bold decision that they're making. You know, you can argue back and forth whether it's a good idea to kind of jump on the Battle Royale hype train, but it definitely got me curious, and there's this new mod that is called Heist Mod, which is a little bit like Counter-Strike actually. Randomly money spawns in the map, and then you as a team have to bring it to a specific location where it gets extracted, and if you're dead, you're dead, so you have to purchase weapons in the beginning of each round and so on, and the money that you extract then allows you to buy more weapons. So it's inspired by Counter-Strike, but it works really well, and in that mod you have little features like, for example, if your teammate is down, you can help him back up. And that is stuff that kind of hints, in my opinion, towards what we're going to see in this Battle Royale type. Obviously, cues taken from games like PUBG and so on. But it's interesting. And at this point, I'm actually hyped to see how they're going to merge Battle Royale gameplay with the Call of Duty gameplay. How big is the map going to be? All these questions remain unanswered at the moment, but I am excited to see where they're going to take it. The next point on my list are those Overwatch influences. Now that's really interesting because they took a lot of cues from Overwatch and injected it in a smart way, in my opinion, into Black Ops 4. For example, now besides your class that you can create that holds your gun and your perks and your attachments, you can choose a character, as you can in Overwatch. Now each character has two special abilities. One is a fairly simple ability that recharges quite quickly, like for example throwing a grenade or throwing a flashbang. But then you also have one hero ability. And we've seen this in previous Call of Duties a little bit, but in this iteration they make it very clear that it's directly taken from games like Overwatch, and it works really, really well. It wasn't overpowered. You were not annoyed by other players constantly using their special abilities. It worked really well in the flow of the matches. Another aspect they took from Overwatch is that in the past, when the game finishes, a Call of Duty game finishes, then you see the last kill in kind of a slow motion replay in the end of the match. Now you see the best play of the match, right? So whatever they choose to be the best play. But you know, someone runs around, kills 2-3 people. That's something that they took from Overwatch. The colors of the maps and the simplification. I've briefly spoken about the maps already, but I feel they have simplified the look and feel of those maps. So in terms of the quality of the graphics, I've actually come all the way around. When I first launched the beta, I was like, God, that looks shit, right? All those textures are washed out. It just didn't look crisp. By the end of it, I quite liked the friendly, positive, vibrant look, and it nearly sometimes felt like a cartoon version of a Call of Duty game because it was so overly saturated and a lot of shapes are just really simplified. Again, similar to what they do in Overwatch, right? You just love walking through these really positive, bright, cartoonish worlds. It's fun to walk around in, and I feel they've taken some cues from that and merged it into this Call of Duty game. Now, I've seen people like Drifter, if you're familiar with Call of Duty channels, I think he's one of the bigger ones, a Call of Duty influencer. He spoke a lot about issues with streaming and capturing. Now, the first evening when I tried to capture a lot of gameplay, I literally captured for 2.5-3 hours, loads of matches, had the capture software, Fraps running in the background, and I had no issue whatsoever. No stuttering, no drop of FPS, it was fine. Later that evening I also streamed a little bit. I'll put a link down in the description so you can see what we streamed, get an idea of that quality. Also, no issues, used OBS, Open Broadcaster Software, worked fine. However, today I've played again, and I've tried to do a bit of capturing in the afternoon, and then I experienced issues. Suddenly the game was stuttering when I was capturing. I had frame drops, and it didn't go as well as it did the day before. So I see where Drifter is coming from and what he's saying, so I think probably there is some room for improvement for Treyarch. But again, this will affect like a fairly small amount of people because not everyone is streaming or capturing their gameplay. But for someone like me who enjoys capturing it, it would be great if they would address that and bring a bit more consistency in that field. Now, one big thing that I really want to highlight and I can't underline enough is that it seems that they put much more emphasis on creating a great PC port than in the previous iterations of Call of Duty. If you remember previous games, the Call of Duty games always felt like you're controlling an Xbox or a PlayStation with your keyboard and mouse. That's how it felt. It was literally a sloppy port slapped on the PC, and you got nearly no features that were dedicated to the PC and that were kind of catered to a PC audience. In this game, quite different. For example, they give you the options to show your GPU temperature. You can change the FOV up to 120. You've got plenty of setting options. You can show your ping as you're playing the game. Generally, if you're exploring the settings, there's so much that is just tailored to a PC crowd. So I was really happy with the options they give us. And also the game itself was running really smooth. There were no hiccups. It felt like a proper PC game. And that hasn't happened with Call of Duty in a long time. I mean, they're not going all out. They're not giving us real dedicated servers. But to be honest, I've given up my hope on that. And which game in 2018 still has real dedicated servers where you have a server browser and you choose your server? It rarely exists. So I think at this point, you can't really judge Call of Duty for not having that feature. Would be great to have, but I don't think that's going to come back. But overall, I'm so happy that it seems like they finally put a bit more work into creating a proper PC version. Another thing is like tapping out, right? When you press Alt-Tab, you have to check something in a window or you want to hit record somewhere on the streaming software. Worked really well. In previous games, sometimes when you tap out, you had to be lucky to get back into the game without it crashing and stuff. Not happening in this game. Tapping works really well. So all that stuff, really positive. The guns feel great. Some of them feel a bit sameish. I felt that some of the guns are not very unique in the way you handle them, but it's not really a problem because most of them feel really good. So as long as they feel good and I'm comfortable with them, I don't mind that much. I'm a player that rarely uses a big variety of guns anyway. I have my 2, 3, 4 maybe go-to guns and classes, and I keep using them again and again. So as long as there are those 3, 4 guns that feel really good, I'm happy and I'm gonna go with this. So yeah, overall guys, I'm really happy with this game. And at this point, now that the beta has commenced, I'm nearly back in the Call of Duty hype again. I'm excited for this game and I'm very close to actually making a purchase decision. I'm not going to pre-order it, just out of principle. I'm not going to do that. But I think I'm going to buy this game and I think I'm going to play it because it's such a great option for a game that you can play in the evening, 1 or 2 rounds. And I've been missing a good Call of Duty for many years. I even went back and played Modern Warfare 2 the other day. And actually, it's surprising when you play that in 2018, what a good game that still is. It is a fantastic game. And I found a lot of little elements that I loved about Modern Warfare 2 in the Black Ops 4 beta. Now, one little piece of candy that I found that I want to share with you guys is quite a bit funny, and since everything I said was so positive, it doesn't really matter to show like one negative little funny aspect. I found this tweet from this guy, and he said he's running the game from an SSD, so he loads into the map much quicker, and as a result, he can run through the whole map just because he's got an SSD and kill the opposing team before they even really spawn into the game, just because he's running from an SSD. So that's stuff that Treyarch will have to address, but it's more funny than a real issue. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be in the final game. So guys, what are your thoughts on the beta? Did you play the beta? What did you like? What did you dislike? Share all that stuff down in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave me a like. You know what people say. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, do all the good stuff. I really appreciate if you watched to this point. I hope to see you on the channel again. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Bye.